Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba amasannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdalla Tiff and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
Schools are open. Parents, guardians, have you prepared your adolescents that are pregnant and mothers for school? The government has given us national guidelines to assist with the responsibility of sending these girls back to school. Let us help to provide them with a safe, productive and friendly environment for their learning. They are still our children living among us in our communities. Their pregnancies, becoming mothers before adulthood, affects them, their community and our nation. All children have a right to education. Now, let's take them back to school because completing their primary and secondary school education is very important to their future careers, personal development and being productive citizens of our nation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good evening, our viewers. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Hotline. My name is Abdalla Tiff, here at the Dig Talk studios in Kampala. Well, many things have been happening in the country, and of course, sad news that came along following the death of the Bank of Uganda Governor Emmanuel Mutebiri, and of course the death of the Minister for Ethics and Integrity, Father Lokodo. All this has not been so good for the country, and of course when you go to the political circles, there is a lot that has been happening and taking place. And elsewhere within the region, of course, things are not so good. In Kenya, they're in high gear preparations for their elections which are slated to take place in August. And then if you go to countries like Mali, things are not good. The French ambassador has been given 72 hours to leave the country. And as we speak, he must be in preparations to leave the country. And then you all remember what happened in Mali, the coup that was led by Colonel Assimi Goita in May last year. And there have been so many voices from the ECOWAS coming up to condemn the act that took place to overthrow the government of Keita. the government of Keita. That was some time back. And so there have been some sort of pressure from the ECOWAS and other European countries trying to make sure that this country goes into elections so that they get diverted, they move away from military rule to the civil rule. And so that kind of negotiation is still going on, still taking place, and the military seems not to be adhering to such pleas. And then, of course, the main topic for tonight's discussion is going to be rotating around Rwanda-Uganda border closure. You all remember that in 2019, around March, the border was closed. It's nearly 3 years. And it is only today that the border has been opened. Well, in the studios, I am not alone. I've been joined by Mr. Charles Ole Barasa. He is a political risk analyst and is a former member of parliament candidate. And then I also have Mr. Bampigga Stephen. He is a party president for the Activists Party. I think you'll have to tell us more about Activists Party. I don't think it's very much well known to the public, but since you're here, this is you'll have the public will have the opportunity to learn more about Activist Party. Well, and I also have another guest who will be joining us online. He's from Kenya. At one time, he expressed interest to run for presidency. Along the way, the interests were dropped to running for senatorial position in Nyamira County. That is Christopher Alvin Mokaya. I don't know if he has been able to join us yet, but if he hasn't, then he will be getting to us as soon as he joins. Well, Charles, please say hi to our viewers.
Thank you, Abdalla Tiff, and good evening, viewers. Glad to have a chat with you this evening.
Thank you. And Stephen, please do the same.
Good evening, viewers. Stephen Bampigga, my name's. I'm also president of Activists Party, a member of the National Consultative Forum for Political Parties and Organizations, and I'm also the secretary to the Budget and Finance Committee of NCF.
Wow. Thank you so much, Bwana Stephen and Charles. Well, you all know what has been happening. 3 years down the road, the business between Uganda and Rwanda has been on a standstill, much as there are other two borders which have been in operation. Gatuna, the one we call Katuna, is regarded as the main border point, main entry point from Uganda to Rwanda. And according to the World Bank report, it is estimated that Uganda exports goods worth 180 million US dollars, compared to what Rwanda exports to Uganda, which is around 10 million US dollars. So this tells that the continued closure of this border affects Uganda more than it does affect Rwanda as a country. And of course, there has been a lot in regards to what could have sparked off this whole situation. You know, whatever we know, these have been hearsays. These ones, they are spying on us. These ones, they are trying to, they are accommodating the wrong persons who want to overthrow our government. Now, I want to start with Charles. What is your take on the Uganda-Rwanda border that has been opened today? Where does this take our business, and how do you see this kind of, does it mean that the relationship has been fully restored?
Thank you, Abdalla Tiff. Once again, Charles Barasa, my name's.
You forgot the Ole.
Yeah. Charles Ole
yes.
Barasa. I come from Busia district. I contested for Member of Parliament in Samia, Bugwe South, on the ticket of the Forum for Democratic Change.
Okay.
You know, the issues regarding Rwanda and Uganda, you need to dissect them from quite very different fronts. One, you could look at them as purely diplomatic issues. You could look at them as issues of geopolitics, basically the regional politics, the Greater Lakes, and at the bigger scheme of things. you could also look at it, you could trace them, down to the conflicts that are not necessarily national, but rather personal between the presidents of the two countries. And this is very important, and I'll get back to that later. Now, in terms of what this portends to Uganda, in fact, like you said, Uganda has been exporting almost 10 to 15 times more to Rwanda than what Rwanda brings imports. And actually, in this case, even the closure of Uganda and Rwanda's border, much as it affects Uganda more, but doesn't even affect Rwanda in the near interim. It actually even affects Kenya more than it affects Rwanda, because if you look at between 2016 until the border was closed, the trade trajectory, the growth of the export earnings of Uganda exporting to Rwanda were actually on the rise. It was on the high trajectory. In fact, around 2020, and I think that's when the relationship's really soured, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, the border was closed in March 2019.
19, yes. Now, in the first 3 months alone, from March to June, that's like a quarter, right?
Yeah.
Uganda had lost $664 million worth of exports, $1 million worth of exports to Rwanda. Now, Kenya, which exports a lot of stuff through Uganda to Rwanda, had lost about $104 million US dollars. Now, what does that mean? Compared to, say, for instance, to 2017, when Uganda's net exports to Rwanda was about $182 million. And in the next year of 2018, Uganda's exports had grown to $212 million. You understand? Versus about, say, between 10 to $20 million of exports. And this is why. And this is not to say that Rwanda is a lesser country, or any country in this case is lesser. But I have been to Rwanda a couple of times, and this morning I was chatting with a friend. I said I relish, I miss the opportunity of being to Rwanda and go to a restaurant and ask a waitress, and the shaka bruschetta, bruschetta is a grilled goat meat. Okay. It's only in Rwanda where you get a soda called the Fanta Coke, or Fanta Peps. That is, it's a nice place to be. But what I'm trying to say is that I've also had the chance to travel by road across Rwanda, but I've also flown across Rwanda from Kigali to Hanga, for instance, which is about 80 kilometers, southwards. And actually, you can look at that country. If it is during a dry season, it is completely, there is nothing, and you can fly and see. If you find where you find banana in a banana plantation, you will see that the leaves are yellowish. During the rainy season, all those hills are flooded. So basically, there is no production in Rwanda, and anything that affects trade relations between Rwanda actually hits the common person in Rwanda. Does not hit the president of Rwanda, does not hit the president of Uganda. And we need to look at the relationship between Rwanda and Uganda in relation to how it affects the common person. I went to high school in Chigezi College, Butobe. That's Kabale. So I was familiar with the border in Rwanda, and I can tell you, apart from the border post, anything say a kilometer away from the border post, it's like one country. Yeah. You understand? People speak the same language. People move across the borders every day, and so this is the issue that people have to really dissect. But also, for this, the border has been resolved. I mean reopened.
Yes, okay. It has resumed today.
Yes, I've also heard that actually it is not open. It's not an open check. Ugandans crossing to Rwanda, other than those ones other than those ones transporting goods, will not be allowed. So yeah. So I mean, it is too early for us to celebrate. I mean, if I'm in Kabale and I want to go and spend a weekend in Nyamira, I mean, for instance, and I'm East African. We are the
one
same
people.
Why can't I cross? I mean, I come from Busia, and for us, anytime we are across the border. We go because you see, for us, there are things that are cheaper in Uganda. There are things that are cheaper in Kenya. So depending on what I want, if I want to have a beer, I'll have it in Uganda because it's cheaper, and I'll have it with a lot of Kenyans. You understand? There are other things I want to go and get from Kenya, and I'll be there with so many Ugandans, and that is really important. So I think, to cut the long story short, we also need to see how this relationship can be a relationship between countries rather than a relationship between the individuals, the presidents of these two countries.
Well, thank you so much, Charles. That has been much elaborative, and well, I'd like to welcome President Christopher Alvin Mokaya from Kenya, an aspiring senator for Nyamira County. Please, it's a pleasure having you here on the show. You could say hi to the viewers and then we proceed with the discussion.
Hello. How are you? Pleasure to be here. And this is Christopher Alvin Mokaya from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm glad to be part of the forum, and we shall be able to discuss about the integration.
Well, thank you so
Kenya
much,
is a big
Christopher.
In this regard.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Well, before Christopher comes in, I want to go to Stephen.
Yes.
You've listened carefully to what Bwana Charles says. Much as the border has been opened today, it is not yet Uhuru. We still have a long way to go. Much as the closure, it affects more of the business community than maybe those who would wish to go and have, spend some time, relax and visit relatives. But when we speak in the business perspective, business people, the business community is greatly affected. What is your position on this kind of situation whereby the border has been closed for 3 years, and now we've seen the first son visiting after having 4 failed attempts to negotiate, mediated by the president of Angola, witnessed by the president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi?
Thank you, Abdalla Tiff. Viewers, I have a friend, he's a Mchiga. He trades in tobacco, and he has been exporting tobacco to Rwanda for a long time. For the past 3 years, his business was wrecked completely. Up to now, he's not taking his kids back to school because he doesn't do business anymore. He must be one of the people celebrating a lot, the opening. But without visiting what Charles said, I want to look at the people, the local people most. Because Kisoro, Ntungamu, and Kabale are very near that border. The people there virtually live in Rwanda and Uganda, like Charles said. They do business across. They walk on foot. Those people have been affected so much. Why? The question is, why do we have to close our borders? Borders are like, for example, if I took the argument back to our village, if my neighbors do not talk to me, if they close their doors to me, if we don't do any communication, imagine what my kids will find. Imagine if I raised an alarm, what will happen? Who will come to my rescue? This is exactly what is happening with these border closures. The people are suffering most. President Museveni, like Charles says, he does not suffer. He doesn't. And unfortunately, the wrangles or squabbles they have are personal. You are training rebels here, you're detaining my people without taking them to court. And that, unfortunately, Kagame is doing it also in Rwanda. Both presidents are doing it. And who is suffering?
They have the same script.
Yes, they're doing the same things, and it is so funny to look at them now fighting and dragging Ugandans into their fight.
Actually, they're sitting for the two countries.
Yes. You see, around these, many of them were bred here, we were born here, we lived here, we fed them, went to school with them. I have many friends in Rwanda. This college, and so many of them were there. Very big guys, you know. They're my friends. They call me, we chat. When I go to Kigali, we drink together. You see, it is so funny that a group of people argue, just a few group of people argue and disagree, and now they close borders, they affect everyone. It is unfortunate, and without me going to the economic part of it, because economics is good for people, comfortable people, you know, people in good relationship, people in good health, you know, all that is affecting. You imagine, some people used to go to Rwandan schools. I come from Muhoozi, near Uganda Matters University. There's a huge group of Rwandese attending that university. They stopped because of the closure. So you can imagine. So, like I said, Abdalla Tiff and viewers, this fight, it is very unfortunate that Ugandans have been dragged into this mess by two adults fighting over whatever they want. You see, that maybe these are personal issues. They have gone a long way. They know each other very well. President Museveni is Mr. Kagame's mentor. They should be knowing each other very well. Now, about Muhoozi's visit, General Muhoozi. For me, I think these people had agreed behind us. The General Muhoozi project is just a show off, showing that he can do this, he can do this. But the real deal was cut behind the walls. It wasn't Muhoozi going there that opened the borders. No. Politically, that one I know. It wasn't.
Well, thank you so much, Charles Bampigga.
Stephen.
Well, that is kind of much of interesting. Much as General Muhoozi went to Rwanda, it's not that many people still subscribe to that school of thought, that it is not actually Muhoozi who, maybe he might have gone to seal off the deal. Anyway, we are yet to find out. Those are just allegations. We don't know, none of us knows the truth. I want to go to Christopher. Yes, Bwana Christopher. You are a member of the East African community. This is a body that we all cherish in the region. As we speak, many other countries are struggling to become members of this mighty East African community. Much as they were... Okay. Many people are struggling. They want to be members of the East African community. Now, the question is, Uganda-Rwanda border has been down, closed for 3 years. And the information is that even Kenya has been equally affected because most of the goods that go to Rwanda from Kenya, they go via Uganda. And now that this border has been opened today, but the question is, the East African community has never issued any statement regarding the closure border. It is only today that I have read a statement which was written on 28th by the Secretary General, Mr. Peter Mathaki, expressing gratitude for the border which is yet to be opened, and indeed it has been opened today. What is your take that this border that we cherish and each member state contributes money to it for its sustainability, but on such matters where we expect them to come and speak and give one single voice to give guidance to the region, they just went mute? What is your position on this? Do we need the East African community anyway? Over to you, Charles. Christopher. Christopher.
Did I get it that I'm the one to...
Pardon, Christopher, we don't hear you.
I go on?
Please go ahead.
All right. So for me, yes. I was just waiting to get the signal go ahead. And I want to say that the East African community, all is in the East African community. And if you look at it critically, you look at the founding members of the East community, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. These are members are conjoined together. It's like they share the bloodstream, the blood arteries. The economy of the East African community cannot run by one nation. And that is why, for example, when I take you back to 2007, we had hiccups in Kenya when we had post-election violence. And I remember people uprooting the railway in Nairobi. And the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, was so mad at Kenya for uprooting the railway, because the opposition was on the railway to make a point that they are happy with the outcome of the election. Then it was impossible for the goods to move from the port of to Busia and on the way to Uganda. Now we are talking about, fast forward to 2022, we are talking about the AfCFTA, that is the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, in which we envision an Africa with seamless trade, open borders, free movement of people and goods, and that is a huge thing. Happen in the continent, even within the smaller regional blocks like the East African community. And so we need to look at the very founding vision of the East African community and ask ourselves, are we supposed to just exist on paper? Are we supposed to exist the show of it that we are a community, or are we supposed to live the philosophy of the East African community? And if you ask me, the East African anthem, which was crafted very, very recently, it speaks to the ethos, the philosophy of the East African community. It is a very good thing that is written in Swahili, and Swahili now of the entire continent. I hear nowadays they teach Swahili in South Africa as well. So I don't know about Uganda. Have you started teaching Kiswahili? Rwanda is also almost embracing Swahili. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to go to the basics. That we need to we need the things that unite us together, like the common language, like the need to get together. So for me, the petty the borders, like the in the recent we had Tanzania in the time that President Magufuli was in power, it was that we had squabbles between Kenya and Tanzania over petty things like chicken. We are not allowing to get it from one border to the next, and Kenya was also saying, okay, we are going to retaliate, and so on and so forth. And now Uganda and Rwanda squabbling over very border issues. I think the leaders of East Africa need to sit together, maybe lock themselves up in a room and come out until work together as brothers. Because if we do not stand as brothers, then we will perish together as fools. And that is not the way we want to. So let us look.
Christopher, your connection is really not good. Maybe we'll be getting back to you later on when your network gets well. Christopher mentioned two things here. One, he talked about the East African community should not only be on paper. Actually, if you go by the documents, it's like the community is doing fairly well, because we have good documents, we have good, everything on document is good. But now when it comes to the reality of this integration, this remains a big challenge. When we talk about having regional trade, you cannot promote regional trade when a single issue within the region, actually the Secretary General would have been the person to mediate these two countries. The initiative which was undertaken by someone who is within a different region, the President of Angola. Now, Then it says on our documents, then it is okay. Look at the East African the Swahili language. How many people within the region can speak this language? Even here in Uganda, when you talk about the Swahili and the East African anthem, few of us can sing that anthem. So this really tells that there is a problem. There is something we are not addressing as member states. Much as we are trying to move around, pretend as if all is well, but it's not. Look at the kind of democracy, the human rights. You go to different countries, there are no common standards. You know, these countries, they are not moving at the same pace. So, I want to start with Bampigga. Stephen.
Yes.
The East African community has never uttered anything in regards to this crisis that has been going on. In your view, do we really need the East African community? Do we still need it anyway?
Just like I said...
The same question is going to come to Charles.
Just like I said before, it is important to have very good relations with your neighbors. Whether the leaders like it or not, somehow we are integrated. The peoples are integrated. It's the leaders who are not listening to each other. It's the leaders closing borders. You see? We really need the integration because of the so many numerous advantages the integration has got. You look at Kenya. There are so many Kenyans here in Uganda working under the tourism sector and the banking sector. Very excellent managers. We have so many Ugandans in Kenya doing business there. In Nairobi, in Mombasa, they have very good businesses. And we have also so many Ugandans in the Kenyan hospitals. So many. That's why so many ministers here who don't want our hospitals to be good fly to Kenya all the time. Now imagine if Kenya blocked the borders. Okay, if they just stopped Ugandans from going to their hospitals, how many of them would die? The late governor died in Kenya. Why? Because they have not cared to do hospitals justice here. So when the Ugandan moves to Kenya, when the Ugandan moves to Rwanda, we are welcomed. You know, there is a lot of brotherhood amongst the people. I don't even know why the leaders are finding it hard to work together. You go to Rwanda, he's a Ugandan. He's a Muganda. They call us Baganda.
Everyone Ugandan is a Muganda.
You go to Tanzania, this is a Muganda. You go to Kenya, he's a Muganda. So I think the advantages there in integration outweigh the disadvantages. And the leaders ought to work together on this. It is surprising that the whole president of a nation can try to mediate you, and you fail to get to terms. You see, President Museveni has been doing this mediation a lot. You find him in Sudan, you find him in Eritrea, he's in Somalia. But you can imagine he failed to agree with Mr. Kagame. When even a
long-time comrade.
A long-time comrade. You know, this is not a Ugandan issue. These are personal squabbles. And they should not affect the integration. The people are brotherly. They are brotherly. We are brothers and sisters. And Ugandans, Kenyans, Rwandans, Tanzanians really love working together. You see how Ugandans are working in Sudan, Southern Sudan. Very quick. It's the leaders that throw in, you know,
the differences.
Yes, the differences. They actually ride on these differences to lead the people.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen. The same question comes to Charles. Do you think this integration, the so-called East African community, do you think it has served its purpose in such a situation?
Thank you very much, Abdalla Tiff. Before I actually come to that question, I just want to delve a little bit into something that has caused a lot of social media buzz. You know, the Muhoozi project going to Rwanda. And one thing that, one concept that act or that event of Muhoozi going to Rwanda, what it actually buttressed, buttressed the belief that this is not a problem between Rwanda and Uganda. It is a problem between President Museveni and President Kagame.
Between two families.
You understand?
Yeah.
In fact, for me, it's about personalities, not even families. Because I'm sure President Kagame has a bigger family, and I don't think that everybody, does his whims. I'm sure President Museveni has a very, very bigger family with very educated people, with people that are diverse and young people thinking differently from a man of 77 years. So I cannot really take it at a personal level. But it's actually, from a family level, it's at a personal level between, and because these guys have worked together, there is always something, that will never go away. Yeah. They have a history. There is so much between them that we don't know, and that influences the events in geopolitically, in the region, the Great Lakes region. I mean, it also goes without saying that, you see, these are the two guys who have been in power almost forever, and I am sure both of them don't want to leave power. You understand? And because of that, they will continue being a burden to their respective countries, and they'll also be a burden to the region. But be that as it may, in fact, my reaction to Muhoozi going to Rwanda was that, you see, it is also very unfair for people to continue lambasting Muhoozi as if he's not a Ugandan. You understand? In as much as we disagree with what his father does, it doesn't necessarily mean that we must disagree with him, because he has also not come out to really explain what he stands for in terms of military. Yes, we understand what he stands for. We've read a few books about him. We've heard him talking about, but in terms of politics, in terms of diplomacy, so I think this was a good event to test him, to see what he's worth. You understand? How do you know that Muhoozi is actually, has the diplomatic credentials without seeing how he executes, an assignment? Now, whether this assignment was actually executed by him or it was actually done, I mean, it's a matter. It's neither here or there.
Charles, before you proceed,
yes.
In your own thinking, Muhoozi visited in personal capacity? Was he representing a country, or was he representing his family?
Well, he was representing the father. And you see, I just don't want to say family, because I don't want to generalize things. He actually went there on the orders of his father to deliver a message, which probably maybe his father was not comfortable going. And it's also natural that people trust people who are very close to him, to them. I mean, in a world where your best friends can also be your worst enemies, sometimes you need to, when you become very insecure, you retreat to, and the story of Mobutu Sese can give you lots of insights about that. Whenever you become insecure, you don't even trust the people that you work with. You have to retreat back to, to the family.
The blood.
Yes. But for me, Muhoozi is Ugandan. I disagree with the way his father runs the country, but I don't want to blame him as a person. I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to think that the difference between me and Muhoozi is that for him is a first son, and me, I'm a common man, and he never applied to be a president's son. When we look at Museveni, we must look at, you see, let me tell you, and we're talking about, we have a Kenyan in the studio here. Yeah, we saw how Jomo Kenyatta ran the country. Well, depending on which side of the fence you are sitting, but there are also things that we can all agree on in terms of really, mismanaging the country, in terms of, and we're also talking about this African community. He was really a big cog in the split of East Africa. One, the formation, but also the breakup. Now, we have also seen how Uhuru Kenyatta has run the country. You understand? I mean, in the last 8 years, Uhuru Kenyatta has built 11,500 kilometers of world-class tarmac in 8 years. You understand? President Museveni, in 36 years, has built 6,000 kilometers of tarmac. So do you say that you don't give Uhuru a chance because his father mismanaged the country? So I really want to separate Muhoozi from the failures of his father, and also it would be presumptuous, it would be a joke for me to even say that Museveni has not done anything. Of course he has done, yes. But we all agree that he cannot do anything better than he has done. And it is,
but yes. Who is castigating Muhoozi for visiting Rwanda?
You should have seen what has been on Twitter. You should have seen what happened on social media. I mean, people can be so unfair. Yeah. You understand? What would Muhoozi do if his father sent him to? Would he refuse? Because you understand? Yeah, but by the way, what people do not know that Muhoozi is a presidential advisor by appointment. He's a commander of the land forces. Some of the issues that are between Uganda are military. Yeah. You understand? And I'm just trying to be objective. Anyway, having said that, whether the East African community is reality, it's neither here or there. If you go to the European Union, yeah, even where they have the euro as the common currency, yes, yeah, in Britain they use the pound. They have not abolished it. In Germany they're using the Dutch mark. They have not the pound, the dollar. You understand? Yeah. So the creation of the European Union did not delimit the borders. The borders are still there. Yeah. When you reach a border, you can know that now I'm crossing from Germany to Hungary. Yes. You understand? So what are we talking about? We are talking about a situation, an issue of trade. And let us stick to that. Because what else do we want to, these issues of political federation, guys, give us a break. They will never happen. Tell me, I mean, how? So let us stick to trade. Trade is the oldest, one of the, apart from prostitution, trade is one of the, yes.
Prostitution is the second.
Yes, trade is one of the oldest professions, and that is, trade has been the biggest link between communities. Yes. We had slave trade, we had ivory trade, across continents, so what we need to do is that we need to ensure that there are no barriers to trade, because you see, if Uganda is going to move from where it is to catch up with Kenya, I mean, it's a long discussion, but somebody can say that Kenya is about 50 years ahead of us in terms if you do numbers, and somebody can draw out those numbers and show you how Kenya is ahead of us. So what we need is to ensure that we have equal opportunities. A Kenyan can come to Uganda and work.
Charles, I think you need to draw a clear line for us to understand. If you're talking about drawing a clear line, like Stephen said, for the people, they are very, very okay with this, And actually, a Kenyan is very comfortable to move from Nairobi to Kampala and do business. Just like a Ugandan is very free to move from here to Chegera and do business. But now these political leaders, they're the ones creating these barriers. They're the ones themselves creating the barriers.
You see, and I will disagree with you slightly, because I've also had the chance to interact with people across the country. Across the countries. I have very close friends of mine, people I work with in Rwanda. When you're having a free time, yeah, and you talk about the president, that's where they stop. That's where the conversation stops.
That is true.
If I'm lying, anybody can tell you. You can be having fun, you can, you're free, your free time, you're free with each other, but the moment you start talking politics about Rwanda, that is when they stop talking. You go to Kenya, people insult the president like he's a nobody. You understand? Now, if you see President Museveni here, people go on radio and say whatever they say, yeah. At least he can tolerate, yeah, until you reach Kakwenza. So he's in between there, and I think also it is important for us to know that the way the leaders behave, because remember, a leader has a following. There is no president in this region who does not have a sizable following, yes. And these are people sometimes whom the president is able to indoctrinate to think the way they think. So it is not true to say that everybody is what. In fact, the people who are if you just go to Kenya, these Kenyans actually think that Ugandans are crazy. How can somebody live for 36 years? They think we are nuts, because for them they don't believe it. Of course, they forget so soon that Moi ruled them for 24 years. Yeah, simply because the country has moved a little bit faster. Kibaki gave it a good foundation. Uhuru has moved on and stuff like that. So sometimes the way the president thinks drives a certain section of the community of the country to have the same attitude.
To think towards
if
that
you
line.
guys have been around, I've been in the corporate world for some time. If you guys have been around here for until almost 15 years ago, Like you said,
as you wind, I need to cross to Christopher.
Yes, and it is good because Christopher is also going to respond some of the things. The tourism sector, the hotels and banks here, were largely being managed by Kenyans.
Yes.
And many Ugandans don't know about this. But you see, Kenya has very strong trade unions. Uganda, for us, we don't. For them, they have workers' unions. These workers subscribe to the unions. So the union has an obligation to create, to create employment for these people. Okay. What did they do? They create a narrative that you see, one Kenyan can do what two Ugandans can do, and one Kenyan can do what three Tanzanians do. That was the narrative then. You understand? Good enough, by either the grace of God or sheer competence, this narrative has been reversed by clearly Ugandans demonstrating that they're better. And like you say that there are so many Kenyans working here, there are actually very many Ugandans who are taking over, especially jobs in Kenya which are entirely meritocracy. There are so many Ugandans. I've been working there for the last 4 years, so I know what is happening. The international jobs, the diplomatic jobs, so many Ugandans are, and that narrative has been. So it is not fair to say that the citizens are okay. Some of the things that the presidents believe, the leadership, that drives the thinking of a certain section, and that creates unnecessary tension between communities. But otherwise speaking, we are very peaceful people, and would like to coexist. And so countries should not be divided because of how the presidents think personally. I think, yeah. So
well, thank you so much, Charles. Christopher, I hope you're there. We want to hear from you in this regards. Well, one time you said the president of Uganda said that, you said one time the president of Uganda went and castigated when the railway lines were being derailed off. Unfortunately, those railway lines could not lead us to Uganda. Anyway, now, in such a situation, the East African Commission, the East African community, taking a deaf ear and assuming they do not know what is happening between Uganda and Rwanda. What should the citizens do in such a situation? Because you don't know what will happen next between Kenya and Tanzania. But we all have this body that we believe will come and try to put everything in shape. Over to you, Christopher. Hello? Christopher.
Network.
His connection is not good.
Christopher, your connection is really not good.
All right, I hope you can hear me now.
Yep.
All right, so the things that you see happening point out to leadership shortcomings. If I can be very, very specific, shortcomings the presidents of the East African respective countries, because they are not taking the initiative to sensitize the populace and the common man about the importance of the East African community. If I were President Museveni, if I were President Muhoozi, if I were President Samia, then I would ensure that the common person down there understands how it is very important to defend the philosophy, the objectives, and ethos of the East African community, because then you get a sense of ownership. If the citizens are not going to get a sense of ownership of the East African community, then it is going to be mere lip service, people talking about East African community, but not making progress in terms
Your network is not doing us well. I think, well, we have lost Christopher.
We do not want to proceed in such a way.
Let me hope we manage to get what was trying to share with us. His connection is really not so good. Maybe, I don't know if there is anything you can do about it. But for now, I would like to go through a few of the comments here. This one is from Jangman Kato, but which East African community are you even talking about? The community that does not operate and practice the same democracy, the same and balanced trade among others. Then this one said, but which East African? Tell them, this is to Muhim. It's just there as simply a name. Then this one says, this network, I think was referring to the network for Bwana Child, Christopher. Then this one, most of these things should be settled at the community level, if it does so exist, and the name and for accountability, and to prove a point that they cooperate as states. When the tension between Uganda and Rwanda were souring, the so-called head of the states were just there enjoying tea and waiting for the speeches at the East African Community Summit. What a shame. I feel we deserve better as a nation and not to rely on the toothless backing East African community. Hey, many comments here, but I don't know if I'll be able to read through all of them. No, I think we can leave them at that for now. Before we go for a break, I want to go to Stephen.
Yes.
When the first son went to Rwanda, many people still thought, actually many questions came up, like he said. Was he there on, as, in what capacity anyway? The first son, he elaborated on that. But now, the question remains, at least we would have seen maybe the Minister for Foreign Affairs being part of the delegation. Maybe people believe there are so many people with diplomatic skills. I don't know what parameter is used to believe that maybe Muhoozi at one point could be lacking in diplomacy skills. I don't know. But there are those undertones, of course, coming from Ugandans. And others say the Minister for East African Affairs would have also taken a central role in this, the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. That she would have taken a central role in this whole conversation to see that the relationship is restored between Uganda and Rwanda. And one of the statements that came from the deputy spokesperson of Rwanda, he said that much as he's called Alan Mukularinda. He said that although the border is reopened, Uganda has not yet addressed the grievances. That statement came from the deputy spokesperson of the government of Rwanda. He's called Alain Mukularinda. So, what is your take on this? Do you think on that entourage you would have seen the first son being accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeje Odong? I understand he has been in the UN for the UPR review, human rights review for Uganda. Maybe his deputy, that is Henry Okello Oriem, would have accompanied, and maybe the former Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, who is the Minister for East African Affairs.
Thank you, Abdalla Tiff. Dear viewers, for me, I think that was not a diplomatic mission. Because it is normally a delegation that is sent to settle diplomatic disputes. And the disputes we have between Rwanda and Uganda are not also diplomatic. Rwanda is accusing Uganda of backing its enemies. There is a Rwanda National Congress, Urunana networks of rebels. And Rwanda is accusing us of backing them up. And actually they name some sitting senior army officers in Uganda to be part of that network. Has it been disbanded? No. That is why that spokesperson was saying, Uganda has not yet done what? Reached its bargain. And there is so many Rwandans in jails.
Here in Uganda?
Here in Uganda. They have been imprisoned without being taken to court. Rwanda wants them to be released. And many others, they have many other demands.
Could that be the reason that the border is only for people with not necessarily goods?
I'm sure there are promises that were made towards that effect. But going back to the diplomatic part of it, the answer is, I believe, it was not a diplomatic mission. This was a directive, or Muhoozi was representing his father.
Well, thank you so much. I think we'll continue the discussion from there. We need to go for a very, very short break, and then when we return, the hotline show will continue.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson, and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views, and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
Schools are open. Parents, guardians, have you prepared your adolescents that are pregnant and mothers for school? The government has given us national guidelines to assist with the responsibility of sending these girls back to school. Let us help to provide them with a safe, productive, and friendly environment for their learning. They are still our children living among us in our communities. Their pregnancies, becoming mothers before adulthood, affects them, their community, and our nation. All children have a right to education. Now, let's take them back to school because completing their primary and secondary school education is very important to their future careers, personal development, and being productive citizens of our nation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Sports, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Well, welcome back from that short commercial break, and now I have to proceed with our discussion. The hotline show is the one you're watching right now, and my name is Abdalla Tiff. Before my guests come in, there is this comment that came on that I need to share with you. This East African community is just for formality. See, the border thing is very simple. Is a very simple issue. But look at the 94 genocide in Rwanda, the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. Even African Union just looked on as people lost lives with such levels of impunity. Our leaders batulimbe nnyo for a very long time. Cause look here, how long has the border been closed? They want to tell us that there has been completely no talks between the two heads of state. If things really failed between the two heads of state, how come it was opened just 2 days after the son's visit? So kati tugambe nti Muhoozi is more powerful than Sevo, or everything was planned to pave way for him to join power in a more respectable manner. Look at the Congo incident. Muyekera chi akubulira obuzaale bwe from A to Z. His names na buli kimukwatako no komekereza ngasabye ejjana. These things byonna bipange. Even that was to pave way and to justify Uganda going to Congo. Our leaders, you've really done us bad. Nyo. Well, that's a comment that came from one of our viewers. Well, I want to start with a comrade in Kenya. I don't know, we still have issues with your network. Maybe the team, you should help me understand whether Comrade Christopher is still online with us. If he's not, then we will have to proceed with our discussion. There is something which is seemingly taking over this continent. People moving away from civil rule to military rule. The rate at which coups are, taking shape is quite worrying. As we speak, African Union, it has suspended Burkina Faso. Then, the protests which are taking place in Sudan. Mali, it is the same thing. Guinea, it's the same thing. Chad, it's the same story. And then Burkina Faso. There is military rule has taken over in these places, these countries. And one would think in such an era, things of military rule taking over would be, one would actually think it's old-fashioned. But it happened. And surprisingly, all these, the military that took over leadership, they have not shown any sign of organizing elections. Actually, in Mali, they had wanted to organize elections in 2025, I think. And then ECOWAS came up and were like, no, you have to organize elections as early as 2022. And that debate is there. So when the French leadership, the French government tried to make some statements threatening, we actually don't consider what you call a government is it's not, the kind of leadership in Mali. So the leader in Mali, that is Assimi Goïta, he responded by issuing a directive to the ambassador of that country, the French ambassador. You've been given 72 hours to pack and leave the country.
Can I just...
Please.
That's a very interesting discussion. I just wanted to spend some very few minutes, first of all, on the major issue that we are talking about. And I'm going to get back to the West African issue. You see, and Chris was trying to talk about it. The issue of borders, the issue of language. He talked about Swahili, and you actually emphasized it. And I was saying that people should not read so much into this facade called the East African Community. And for me, the only thing that I want to be streamlined about the East African Community is basically the economy, movement of factors of production, including labor and goods and services. That is all. If we can streamline that, the rest does not matter. I mean, you're not going to say that because now, the East African Community is the same, so now can we demonstrate that we are actually the same people? Let us move all the people from Mount Kenya and put them in Buganda and take the Buganda people from... you get the point. So let us not expect really so much. For me, what is very important is that our people are suffering because leaders...
I fail to agree.
Yes. You see, if you look at the export earnings of Uganda and break them down to products, you would see that actually in 2018, out of $182 million worth of exports of Uganda to Rwanda, $50 million, which is almost 30%, was vegetables. What does that mean? That the people of, because food is a basic necessity. Yes. You understand? Food is a basic necessity. And the next was fuel. And the two were almost constituting almost 50% of the total exports of Uganda to Rwanda. So what does it portend if you deny these people these key services of food and fuel for 3 years? 3 years. This is a disaster. And for me, these are the things that I want us to really focus on. Forget about this Swahili and even in the, like I said, the European Union. You know, where even the ECOWAS, even the SADC, people don't speak the same language. The Germans in Europe, in the German, they speak their languages. If the British, the French, you understand? So I want us to focus on the economy. Now, I want to come back to your issue of the West Africa. Now, if you talk about the coup in Chad, okay? You talk about the coup in Guinea. You talk about the coup in Mali.
Sudan.
And there's another one. Burkina Faso. Sudan is the 5th. But out of the 5, what do you look at as the common denominator? The common denominator is Francophone. They're West African Francophone. Yeah. You need to understand how the post-colonial arrangement of the West African states, especially those that were under the French colony, how they were arranged. They were arranged in such a way that these guys did not actually attain real independence. They only got political independence, which is, and because, I mean, you know that all the Francophone countries are still keeping their reserves in the French National Reserve.
Yes.
And they can only pick some of it as a loan, yet it's their own money.
Yep.
They have to keep 50% of their national revenue. Yeah.
Actually, what would be their like the Bank of Uganda? Their main bank is in France.
It's in France, and they cannot access that money. They can only access as a loan.
Percentage.
And no, as a loan and pay on interest. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the coups in West Africa are actually instigated by France. Since when did you see a French president or an international European president coming to attend a burial in Africa of a dead president? You only saw it in Chad, isn't it? You see, let me tell you, some of these things, these international politics are very, very complex. And I can tell you, even this guy Goita, who is giving instructions, and the statement by the French, this is all a facade. I mean, France is trying to come off. It wants to come off as if it's innocent in the coup.
In what happened? What took place?
Goita's directive is actually to also confirm that France was not in the coup, but he is actually a project of France. I mean, the guy in Guinea is a project of France. You understand? So, how come in the Anglophone and by the way, this classification of Anglophone and Francophone is actually neocolonialism. Yeah, we are actually, it's a creation of the
colonialists.
If you ask a villager in Busia to tell you what Anglophone means or Francophone, they can't understand. You understand? Even in Uganda here, you can't. So, but be that as it may, we must appreciate that the stage of state formation of the former French colonies was done so unfairly and hurriedly because these people in West Africa wanted to attain independence. They did not bargain hard. That's why you see for us here, most of these African countries, we had the Lancaster Conference, where people would go and negotiate and agree on this. We are hand over this, create a roadmap of when you guys are handing over partially, then eventually when are we taking over. And that's why you saw most of the times we had the Prime Minister, then eventually
it was through stages.
Yes, exactly. But these guys were in a hurry, and so the French people France was smarter. You understand? And that's why, by the way, France now remains the only reason why the French economy is strong is because of the West African countries. It has their money. So actually, France has a leverage, big leverage in the African affairs.
Actually, they have I was in Chad, I think 2 years back, but the money, the financial resources in the country, they are controlled by France. They do not have much say as far as their finances are concerned in the country. Even their budgets, they have to be approved by. So that speaks the crisis.
But by the way, even the currency is called the franc. Most of these countries.
Yeah, francs. They use francs.
They are francs.
They use francs. Well, Charles, what is your take on this? We have the same, like he said, that's his version of the discussion.
Yeah, I'm Stephen, by the way. You like Charles so much. You're calling him.
So Stephen, sorry, Stephen. You say this man will come from the same area.
Oh,
and he's my Mko.
Now you see, you are beginning the Muhoozi thing.
Stephen, what is your take on this whole thing? You see,
like Charles said,
and we even don't know. It could be there was something planned in Ethiopia. Fortunately, they managed to.
It has repassed, yes.
Yeah.
Like Charles said, the French have been milking that region for so long,
And they're still.
and it is time Africans stood up. For me, I'm in support of those coups. I'm telling you, for me, I'm in support of those coups because they need to break even. They need to break away from these guys. You see, these Bazungos have got a way of really holding on to people. You can imagine they sat down, crafted something, and they have held those people for a long time.
Stephen, just to interject. Unfortunately, those coups, the people leading those coups are a making of France. So there is no breakthrough from the past.
For me, I hope and really pray that a new breed of leaders, like the President Museveni were once called, because if France is playing politics here again, then those people are in trouble.
But now we have other countries like in Sudan where France has less influence there.
Yes, you see, if you look at all the governments that have been overthrown, they have been in power for a long time, many of them. They didn't put checks and balances in place. They left things open for the military to come and take over. Because if institutions are well built, militaries cannot take over. They can't. Where will they pass? But they are being overthrown because they didn't build institutions. The checks and balances are very weak. You see, their prefect is so far. You know, the prefect is far. So many things that are being done on the ground, he doesn't really care. You know, he doesn't care. So I pray that France is not changing leadership in those regions, because the military coups could be instigated by France. Like he said, the soldiers have been built by the French. But I really hope Africans have seen light this time. Because this neo-colonialism is really bad. It is worse than the actual colonialism. Because they use us to torture us, to kill us, to steal from us. You can imagine.
Stephen, someone will again tell you that if you go to countries like Libya, the influence of France was really minimal. But why? You know, it happened in Libya.
Are you talking about Gaddafi taking over or
Gaddafi being over? Yes.
No, that was a UN thing.
Yeah, that's a
different.
That's a NATO.
That's a NATO thing.
NATO thing.
These thugs came together and just threw out that man. But Gaddafi was a self-made man and he did so many good things for Libya. But you know, Bazungos, they're always scared by successful people.
But strong African.
Very, very, very scared. So I pray that these coups are done by Africans willing to break the chains.
One surprising thing, like it's good both of you are on the opposition. This gentleman subscribes to the FDC. You are party president, the Activists Party. And most of the time when you, the politicians, try to threaten, like, you know, anytime we are going to do what has taken place in, you saw, Mr. 7, we are taking, and there is a way you use a lot of energy. What happened in Sudan is going to happen here. I remember one time I saw General Katumba Wamala saying, you people, if you think that what happened in Sudan is going to happen here, these are two different countries. So you have also, you the politicians, you've taken up that narrative to give hope, to give actually false hope to the citizens that things are changing. You want to take the same path. And do you think the same can happen here? Because the establishments are totally different.
Well, I think if you asked me, I don't subscribe to that kind of narrative. And I've also not had any party leader, you know, pontificating, trying to, to advance, that
a benchmark of the sort.
The fear, it's actually the regime that has tried to use that narrative to blackmail,
the opposition.
Yes. Yeah, but also what the opposition does, that it falls for such tricks, because it's basically to divert you from what all the strategies you're having in terms of mobilization, in terms of organizing, into becoming defiant, and you let me tell you, politics, just like any game, you must understand your opponents.
Definitely.
If you are going to use defiance against President Museveni, he actually wants you to use it, because that's where he fares best.
It's the game we understand.
You understand?
Yes.
Yes, and so, the regime uses fear, it sells fear, it sells intimidation, so that actually the process of mass mobilization and organization is disrupted. And this regime is not a regime of fools. It is not. It's actually a regime of highly educated people,
very bright
people who know what to do, and people who know how to play on the sentiments of people, of course selfishly, to achieve their end, which end is to keep power. What the opposition needs to do is to organize better, and organize in such a way that you capture the imaginations of the new voters. And for me, as a member of the FDC, I was actually part of the defiance campaign, but after reflection, I do not think it makes sense at all. It is just like looking at the NRM calling itself the National Resistance Movement 36 years after being in power. What are they resisting against? They are resisting against change. So if they are resisting against change, unless there's something else they are resisting, if they are resisting against change, then of course they are repugnant. They are keeping the country, they deliberately keeping the country backward. And by the way, I've told people that if President Museveni really wanted this country to move, it would have moved. Yeah. But as of 2002, Kenya, at the end of the Moi era,
yes,
Kenya was posting negative GDP year on year. You understand? In 5 years, the first term of Kibaki, it moved to 7.7% GDP growth, and since then, it has never looked back. It is actually about political will. But you see, for us, it's not about political will, because you see, when you allow people to develop and they become rich and become enlightened, they will overthrow you. Keep them backward, poor, and beggars. It's a simple strategy.
Yeah.
And so you can evaluate President Museveni on different fronts. You can evaluate him as a president of the country, and then you see that he's apart from selling peace. The only community he has brought to us, he's largely a failure. You understand? But if you assess President Museveni as an individual, just like you can assess Metternich, just like you can assess Napoleon, people who rose from nothing to something, then actually on that front, President Museveni is a very successful person.
Yes.
And so we need to be able to draw those two parallels. You understand? So for me, the issue of selling fear that, oh, what happens in, goodness, we have all seen what has happened in Libya. We have seen what has happened in Sudan. We have seen what has happened in all those
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe and all. You don't want to change power. That and for me, my party leader, Dr. Besigye, actually said that.
No, he's not the party leader.
Well,
the party leader is Amriat.
Yes. No, Amriat is the party president. We have so many party leaders. Even the secretary general is a party leader. Even the chairman of the party is a party leader.
Dr. Besigye has no portfolio.
Well, but he's an elder of the party.
He's the chairman for Rukunjiri district.
You are becoming scientific.
He's the chairman for Rukunjiri
But anyway,
district.
he once said that, you see, if you take the option of using violence to take power, then you will use violence to sustain power. And that's what he doesn't want. And that's where, to that extent, I agree with him.
Yes.
What I don't agree is the issue of defiance, because defiance, the line between defiance and violence is very thin.
Very, very thin.
And you can move it, or erase it, or dot it, depending on where.
You want it to be.
Yeah, because you see, you know that you're dealing with a violent regime. You apply violence to is what they'll respond by violence. And because they hold the instruments of coercion, they have the military, they have everything, they have intelligence services, they have information. Even before you plan, they already know. So they will crush you. You understand? And I don't want any politician to mobilize anyone's son to go to the streets to be crushed by the army. Let them bring their own sons.
Well, thank you so much, Charles. Stephen, you are a party president.
Yes.
And there have been attempts to change the political leadership in this country. It's now 36 years. You, Charles, and the rest have failed completely. 36 years. As Activists Party, what plans do you have? What strategies do you have in place? And what is that you're ready to do different that the Charleses of FDC have not done, that the other political actors have failed to do? That really makes Activists Party outstanding.
You see, I have been asked that question many times. But political parties in Uganda are operating under very difficult circumstances. You can imagine President Museveni can plant someone in your party, only to destroy it, make sure it doesn't grow. You can imagine a president who says, no, you're not supposed to mobilize funds beyond this. Yet you have to give accountability of whichever funds you are spending. You see? There are so many roadblocks built in front of political parties that are really failing us. But as a party, we believe in science as an ideology. We believe if we use science, advanced science, knowledge and research, invest a lot in education, technical education. You see, this vocational skilling of our people. We think if we empower people scientifically, we can move this country forward very fast. But now taking power and empowering people are two different things. You see, President Museveni took power. He was not given power. The people did not vote him. He came with his guns and took it. So under these circumstances, he's not willing. He's not willing to give power to a new person. Maybe he might give his son, but I also doubt that one. This Muhoozi project is all a make-up. President Museveni will not give power. So what does Activists Party do to take power? First of all, we shall not go to the bush. We shall not use guns to take power out of President Museveni's hands. Definitely, we shall go to the people. And unfortunately, winning elections here does not guarantee you taking power. People have won elections and they have not taken the power.
So you're already discouraged by that?
No, you see, like Charles said, by the way, for me, I'm a football coach, a professional. And so technically, you look at the players, their size, and the players on your side, you look at their tactics, you look at the tactics you're supposed to use. And you also don't only assess the team. You can also assess the referees and match officials. Now, unfortunately here, the players on the other side, definitely they're definitely stronger than our players. They have been in the play for a long time. They are rich. They have all the tools of coercion.
So what strategies are you now using to really deal with them?
We have a strategic plan. And we have a very good policy. But I can't go in details. And probably.
And is FDC who could take your ideas?
No, even if FDC takes my ideas, no problem. I only fear my main opponent. The main opponent is on the look of, he likes poaching. Whenever he sees something, he'll take it. You remember when Dr. Vesje talked about abolishing tax? What tax is that?
Graduated tax.
He took it on very fast. So he likes taking on good things and good ideas. So I'm sorry, Ugandans, I will not tell you our tactics here, but you can please visit us. Our offices are here in Makindye. We can discuss this in details, but definitely we have a plan as Activists Party, a scientific one. I know President Museveni and his men, and most of them are analog based. You know, they are old people. So the scientific approach is going to be a problem to them. You see, they are giving less than 1% of the budget to the Ministry of Science and Technology. Less than 1%. That is how much they despise science. But just look at this room and see how much science is here. Imagine this kind of science is involved in politics, in building our people, in empowering our people, in making good roads, hospitals. Just science. The white people, they are ruling the world because of their advancement in science.
Stephen, when you talk about the regime not giving you space, like how you started the discussion, we have seen new parties that you actually planting people there to spy on you. We have seen new parties coming up. We have the National Unity Platform. It existed as NURP, but finally it had to break through, and they're the leading opposition now. We have seen such parties come up. We have the ANT. We have never had anything to do anything like a delegates conference from the Activists Party. When do you always do such activities?
We definitely do these meetings. The only difference is that we do not put a lot of media in our activities for reasons best known to the members, because it is members' decisions. Media, you see, media, you can create or destroy. As you see, NUP was, I was a coordinator in People Power. I was coordinating Makindye. And one of the strategies we used was media to publicize the People Power. Which strategy we are slowly adopting in Activists Party. But we had to first do internal building and capacity building of our members and putting in place those pillars that are at least would make us
the key one, the most key
at least that would make us withstand the pressures that come with the media. So much pressures. So it's not true that we don't hold these meetings. It's not true that we don't have membership. There are some people even who think that we don't have. Let me tell you.
You think you're the party?
Here in Makindye.
When we have you here, we have the party.
No, here in Makindye, we are leading 2 LCs.
Wow.
2 zones, yes, 2. So don't think we are a small party. Here in Makindye, we are leading 2 LCs. No, what does that mean? We have
which areas are those?
Here in Nadisalu,
okay,
we have 1. And in Wabigalo.
LC1?
LC1.
But I haven't elected LC1s.
We are not what?
We haven't
LC1 chairpersons?
Yes.
They haven't been elected.
No, we have the sitting ones.
No, they elected in 2018.
Yes, the sitting ones are our people. So I'm trying to show you.
So you didn't participate in the 2021 elections? Or things didn't move well?
No.
You were swept by the wave.
In 2021, that wave was terrible. It was like the one that just passed. No, I was part of the people who created that wave, but hello. So like I was saying, we plan. And we are planning slowly. You can't grow very fast.
Yeah.
You can't grow very fast. It is a lie. I look at some parties thinking that they can grow very fast. Okay, you can eat. They call it big pig and become very fat.
For how long has Activist Party been in place?
We were registered in 2007.
Wow.
Yes, we are registered in 2007 and. We've been in operation. We registered and hit a roadblock because after registration, most of them, the founders moved abroad. They went for greener pastures. So we went into
restructuring and all that.
We first died a bit. For like 3 years, we were not operating. So very few of us remained, and we were like, what do we do? How can we run the party? Then finally, we mobilized and began moving on. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure here. I think someone is on the line.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Thank you for the show, Mr. Abdalla.
Thank you. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Richard. I'm calling from Kamwenye.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. President, the one from the Activist Party.
Okay.
So they have a party that has a plan that we can share with the people. And their plan is apparently scientific. I don't know if we want to vaccinate their way into power. What exactly do they stand for? Because if you can't come to the people, if we don't involve the media, how do they want the people to follow them? What is their agenda? Do they really have a code, or are they just wasting our time? I think they could actually have good ideas. So I think you should elaborate on whether we actually have a plan and stop those things of scientific. What is a scientific plan even? So
Thank you so
just
much.
for him to elaborate more on what he means by that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our lines are on the screen. You can give us a call to be part of the discussion. Stephen,
Yes.
you had the caller. That question came directly for you. You have a plan. You're not even willing to share it with the public. And you want membership. You want people to join you. What will really propel them to join the Activists Party? And what exactly do you stand for? But I think you mentioned that. You basically want to use science to create change in this country. But you can give a detailed elaboration for the caller too.
I want to thank the caller for posing in that question. It is not true that you don't have a plan.
No, he said you have a plan, but you're not willing to share it.
You see, sharing is caring. And while caring, many people think you have interest. But sharing a plan takes
Norman, hello.
Someone. Yes, hello.
There's two guests.
Hello?
Yeah, this is Norman.
Yes, Norman.
Thanks for having those two gentlemen. And
Thank you.
Even when I don't agree with both of them on a variety of things, I think there is something that we need to consider if we indeed want this country to move forward. Take, for instance, I am a student of so many theories, but also to add that every single country in this world, there are 5 renowned foreign policies. And these five have trade, have diplomacy, have sanctions, military defense / intelligence, foreign aid, and global environmental policy, which has of late joined the rest. What do we mean? That you must rely on these as mentioned to ensure that you are in good or bad terms with your neighbors. Take, for instance, if it is trade, I want those gentlemen, I had one of them talk about how it was okay for Muhoozi to go to Rwanda, and definitely at a personal level, I don't see him to have represented a country, but rather represent Museveni as the head of the family. Tell me of these that I've mentioned: trade, diplomacy, sanctions, foreign aid, global environmental policy. Even if it was military that he went there on behalf of the military or intelligence, tell me, he is not the Minister of Defense. He's not the most senior in the army for him to have qualified to cross to Rwanda and these guys, because these gentlemen, just like the father, they want to create trouble, then come and be praised as people who have given solutions. We had an alternative of sending the Minister of Defense. We had an opportunity to send the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We had an opportunity of doing and providing other alternatives. But to say, because this family is full of selfish people who want to own it all, that is how that gentleman ended up going there. In the same regard, even one of the best world's negotiator or diplomat by the names of Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State for America, he would not appear in any negotiations or any talks alone. So we cannot be here and so that Muhoozi, the son of God, has it all, and therefore he qualified to go alone and represent us, and definitely come up with what we achieved in court. Because so it means it was a one-on-one talk, no media, nothing. Perhaps he went there to hand in an envelope of a very strong message or even a strong apology from the old man of the clan here who is closing to 90 years and thereabout. Finally, from me, it is fair for us to go back to the grassroots and the drawing board and know how best we move this country without these people. In my view, they have done their best to destroy our nation, destroy the region, to mention but a few. So for that case, we want to have a clear foreign policy as a nation. For instance, in America, they will tell you that its 4 leading policies are to protect the Americans. First of all, Rwanda has Mr. Museveni helped us to protect us. We have young people dying in Asia, China, where I mentioned them. That is dead with the NRM regime. That policy doesn't work. Advanced democracy, human rights, global interests, promote international understanding. Do we have that? The answer is no. International understanding of Uganda and other countries. So literally, this is a collapsed state. May God bless all of you.
Well, thank you so much, Norman. Okay, I want to start with Charles.
Well, I think I want to thank Norman for the call.
Following the discussion.
Yes, and he has highlighted quite a good number of points. But if I would ask Norman, and I'm not asking him to respond right away, I mean, how, for instance, would a global environmental policy apply in the case between Rwanda and Uganda? How would you apply sanctions between Uganda and Rwanda? Because you see, the closure of a border is already sanctions. So you do what? You counter? You do counter sanctions? You impose counter sanctions? I mean, there was nothing to do in that case. And for me, I don't want people to actually read a lot into the Muhoozi expedition to Rwanda. You understand? Because I already said, and I think we have all agreed, that the conflict between Rwanda and Uganda is not between Ugandans and Rwandese. So there's nothing like diplomacy. It's actually 2 leaders having their own issues. Issues that us as citizens have nothing to do with. So if one leader who is disagreeing with the fellow leader sends his son to solve a personal problem, what is the problem?
Charles.
Why are we reading so much into this?
Charles, if Muhoozi was sent to represent the father on personal issues, do you think Museveni is affected by the closure of Rwanda border?
Well,
I think there was an interest for the public, and for that only fact, we would have at least the Minister of Defense, would have the Minister for East African Affairs.
If there had been an interest, a will to open this border. You see, we are living in a global community. There is always, even the day when the border was closed, there was already pressure mounting on the 2 leaders to resolve their what? But they were unwilling to resolve. That's why it has taken 3 years. If they are willing to resolve, within 1 or 2 days, or 1 week, it should have been resolved. You get the point. So for you to sit here and start lecturing us on whether it should have been the Minister of Defense, whether it should have been the Minister of East African Community, well, in an ideal circumstance, that's what it should have been. But we are not living in an ideal circumstance. We are living in a country where the president hires and fires depending on when he's happy or not. You understand? We have also seen people given jobs, but their juniors are doing them.
So that means for people.
Gentlemen, I had this to pass on just in a second, Mr. Tiff. Sorry again. You see, I want to be very, very clear that my point here, most likely it wasn't understood, that the gentleman says that there is nothing wrong with Mr. Museveni sending the son. This is where and how it is wrong. For lack of another word, Baganda say Kamanyiro. If that Kamanyiro doesn't stop by the president, the wife summons parliament at Kololo. The husband sends the son to Rwanda. The brother invites people in Gulu. Next time, their grandson, Muhoozi's kid, will also summon all ministers to, I don't know, either Rachura or in a hotel or in a takeaway. That is what needs to be stopped as early as now. If we want Sunday in this country, we should stop praising. Because you see, next time, it means we accepted Mr. Museveni to appoint the brother as one of the first army commanders here. The cat was like, you see, this guys have fought, it's okay, he deserves it. Mr. Museveni came and he was like, okay, my brother has been a smoker, he's been a drunkard, he fired him. We clapped, we are happy. Our parents were happy. This gentleman went ahead and appointed the wife as in fact, he first promoted the wife to come as an MP. We kept quiet, and we knew this is how the dynasty was being promoted. The wife became a minister of Karamoja. Ask, has there been any development in Karamoja, save for stealing and robbing oil, gold and all the wealth that is there? We kept quiet. He put his son in the army. When he was asked, he said his son was so passionate about protecting the country, but he wanted to become an LODU. We kept quiet. Before we know it, now the son is a full 4-star general in the army. Don't you think tomorrow or even 5 years to come, this man might parade the whole clan in the parliament and be approved? In any case, can that parliament deny approving Museveni's daughters and grandchildren and all the uncles of Uganda to be ministers or what? We must fight this injustice as yesterday and say no. There is lots of people who have the same brains and with good experience. May God bless all of you.
You see, one thing I can agree with Norman is that the sentence of Norman actually helps to underscore the bitterness Ugandans have about the things that are happening. But you see what Norman is doing? He's only pontificating. He's not giving us a solution. Because for us who are the political players, we have tried. The FDC came here. It had a national outlook. It had MPs in the west. It had MPs in the north. It had MPs in the central. It had MPs in the east. It had MPs in Busoga, all over the country. In 2006, isn't it? The system has infiltrated the FDC. It's split into ANT and now the FDC. At least one thing I can congratulate my brother Stephen
for staying in.
Is that at least
he remained active.
No, at least his party has 2 LC chairmen. ANT doesn't even have anything.
No. I hosted the ANT president here.
Yes, but
they have a district chairperson.
Where?
In I'm forgetting the district, but in northern Uganda.
Northern Uganda.
Yes.
But you see, politics is local.
Yes.
Politics is local. Let me tell you, if you want to see the strength of a leader, you need to look at where he comes from. General Muntu comes from Rashamire. I even know his home everywhere. I know that he does not even have an LC councillor, and that's where he comes from. So really, what is the best of Ugandans trusting him?
I think we can leave Entune.
Yes, but it's very important because we are talking about political parties. You understand? And I was saying that the FDC came and it had. The FDC has been infiltrated, broken into ANT and blah, blah, blah. So ANT is the splinter. Now there's people power. Most of the MPs that are, especially the ones that are in the second term, some of them were in the FDC. But if you look at the 58 MPs apart from Nambesha from Bugisu, the rest are from Central here. So does it really, does NOP, for instance, show a national outlook? It doesn't. So what it means that actually parties are collapsing. And even NRM, by the way, well, on paper, it's a party. But it stands, it anchors on the strength of the president and his capture of the state and instruments of coercion. Without him, it will be no more.
That is very true.
So the tragedy we face as a country is actually failure of systems. And I said it here before that if you want to cling to power and stay long, first kill systems, kill institutions, be the alpha and omega. And one time I said, in Uganda, we have an imperial presidency. President Museveni can decide, if he so wishes, that from today onwards, there will be no Samia in this country. And he can crush all of us, because he has the power. So, and yes, am I lying? No, because he has the instrument. Yeah, we are at his mercy. And you see, you find people even complain that, you see why you people, you don't have any plan, you're talking about Museveni. But I told people, even when we go to church, even before we go to...
Someone is on the line.
Okay.
Yes, good evening to you, Mr. Tiff, and the panelists you have hosted.
Good evening, how are you, sir? Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm very fine. I'm called Kato here from Barasa.
Yes,
I want to disagree with Mr. Charles with his, I should term it as a cheap talk. Because when he says a cheap talk, When he says that the government infiltrated FDC, we had the so-called and termed as the moles in the party, the likes of Muchishamuntu and the rest. They have since left FDC for how many years? Where is FDC? Is it progressing now, or it has even worsened, even when the so-called moles are still leading the party? And actually, the rumors still have it, and I don't know whether he can explain or he can talk to the people concerned about the same rumors to account for the 700 people they actually got in the 2021 election between the party secretary general and the chairman, Ambassador Virgwa. And when he comes on set and actually tries to confuse and I don't know which other word I can use, the rest of the viewers just don't is getting all this from and where he's actually leading the rest of the people following and viewing the show. Should correct that and, we stop this cheap talk around. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for watching the show. I think this goes still to
yes. What is his name?
It's called Kato.
Kato from Barasa. Thank you very much for your comment. Well, there are people you termed the so-called moles. I was not one of those who called them moles. You understand? Because for me, I don't believe in moles in political
No, but when you mentioned that the people who were
who
infiltrated you.
No, it's okay. But he said that they have since left us. One thing I want to say that we never wish them to leave. But you know what the gentleman does not know? He does not know the influence of the deep state in managing politics.
Yes, hello.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, how are you?
Yes, Tiff, thank you for the show.
Your name, sir?
Yes, first of all, I appreciate the panelists for spending time. But also, I'm disappointed in Mr. Ole claiming to be one of the strugglers in FDC, but at the same time, drumming tunes of National Unity Movement directly. Let him tell us in which because he was trying to water down the nomination permission. In what capacity did Muhoozi represent the country? Two, I want him to tell us, as him, when he claims that the system didn't trust these people, I want him to tell us if he claims that the system is disrespected, how does NPs going affect FDC's movement? And him being an FDC candidate in the year, how important, how can he shape the debate of the country than wanting the callers to give him an authority or the solution? Let him stop promoting the most project, but instead discuss issues rather than important. Thank you.
I think the gentleman is just saying what I said here. I said it is nonsensical for us to continue talking about Muhoozi. It's when we talk about Muhoozi, we lower this debate to a personality. Yet we're supposed to be discussing serious issues that affect the country. You understand? And the other guy from Barasa, actually, I just wanted to tell him that when those guys left, we never wanted them to leave. But our breakup was engineered by the system. Yes. And this is some of the things that people do not actually understand. You see, the state has the capacity to engineer a fallout between the two of you. If you are continue being together, it's going to be a threat to them. And we have examples of countries. I can tell you, even in Kenya here.
So did the state achieve its objective?
Even in Kenya, the fallout between Ruto and Raila was engineered by the NIS. You see, people don't know some of these things. But ask him, when those guys left and they left, where they went, where did they get? All the MPs who left us, they never came back. So probably this is what
not all. Actually, FDC lost only 3 members of parliament.
Yes, but did they come back? Where they went, did they win? They didn't. So actually, anti-leaving FDC weakened FDC. Yes. Yes, and that is the intention of the state. Because FDC was a strong party.
Well, I want Stephen to respond to these comments from the callers. Much as they were directly coming to Charles, you should have a take on them.
You see, FDC and Charles, they have issues. You know, while responding to the first caller, who really wanted to know our plan,
Yes.
I told him sharing plans in political parties is very dangerous. Yes, we want followers, we want supporters, but the way the state operates, they want to know everything and they will jump onto any good thing.
But many people always speak that. They come and reveal, we are planning to do this, ABCD.
And where have they reached? What have they done? Do you want us to be the same? We have a different alternative route we are taking, and soon Ugandans will know all our plans. I want to assure Ugandans that we don't have bad plans for them. That one, they should be assured and they shouldn't be scared. When the right time comes, we are going to share. About FDC and the infiltration, that one I know. Infiltration by NRM, that is what they used during the Bush.
But it's what is happening
That
here.
is what they are doing again.
You're also experiencing that.
That is what they are doing in Nook.
Yes.
Because I've been very close to Nook people. I've worked with them under people power. I know what is happening there. You see, but we tried to tell some of these young people what was going to happen. But they could not listen. Just share, and what is happening. So we need to tread very carefully when working with this old man. He's a very wise man, like he said. They're very well learned, very bright people. And believe me, they don't want to leave this country. They want to die in power. And probably someone was even talking about 100 years. They first said 50 years. I thought it was a joke. I was reading Moses in the Bible about the 40 years slavery, and I'm like, whoa, we've been slaves for 40 years. You know, it is really bad to live a life of a slave in your country. Just look at how Ugandans are going to Dubai. They're running away from their country to become slaves. They're actually selling part of their property to become slaves.
That's just one of the examples of demonstration of poverty. But the typical illustration of poverty, you need to go to the district where I come from. It is possible that so many families can go for 1 week without 1,000 shillings. 1,000 shillings.
And now, Charles.
And you can imagine how many things you need that require money.
Yeah.
And how families are deprived. How kids are not going to school. How parents cannot even afford uniform. They cannot even afford a pen. I have seen this myself.
One time I visited Serere district.
Yes.
I reached there. One family could visit the other. When they peel the potatoes, this family takes off the potato peels. They boil and then they smash. They smash them.
Yes.
And
Which year was that?
Like 3 years back.
Very recent. I thought that was before Museveni came.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
Anyway.
So it's not only in your area. It is
almost everywhere.
It's across.
Yeah.
It is almost
everywhere.
By the way, the situation is very...
But now the biggest question comes to you as the political leaders and people who really want to assume offices. What plans do you really have? He explained how they are planning to use science and all that. For the FDC, you've made attempts to become a member of parliament, I think twice? No. This was your first time.
Yes.
And what plans do you have to put this country to a better position than where it is right now as we wind up? Because we have less than 2 minutes to get out of it.
First of all, I want to make a disclaimer that I am not the spokesperson of the FDC, and I'm not speaking for the FDC.
You only give your
I am
personal
actually
opinions.
here speaking my personal views. What political parties need to do, and at FDC, and I've also had the chance to share.
But a moment, just before you proceed. Normally what we know, what happens, these political parties always meet their members, they indoctrinate them with the ideology, and that is the same message those members spread. So I would expect you, at least you're not speaking as the official spokesperson of the party, but at least you could share what you hold, the values you hold as a party.
But Abdalla Tiff, when you look at me, do I look at like somebody who can be indoctrinated?
It could be the reasons why you subscribe to the FDC and not NRM or your Activists Party.
You
believe to their values. You subscribe to their values and you believe.
I don't want to believe that FDC, and I've not seen it in FDC. I've not seen FDC trying to indoctrinate any members We don't have a Chankwanzi, for instance. That's why they indoctrinate people. And our members have not been going there. But for me, I want to be here and speak what I think is good for this country. And the way political power can be transferred and how the governance of this country can be advanced, and especially through political parties. Because political parties are the vehicles through which leadership of the country and ideas and policies would be advanced. Some of the things that some of the callers were talking about, these are basically manifestos. If you look at America, the Democrats, when they come, they preach a certain policy. This is going to be our foreign policy. This is going to be our economic policy. The Republicans, the same. But for me, I want to speak generally.
In 1 minute, Charles.
Yes, I want political parties to have power strategies. I call it a power strategy. You need to design a short-term strategy to capture power. I don't think anybody in this country who is in opposition had intentions of being in opposition. Myself, no. And I've also had the chance to make sure that my feelings are known. When I joined Reform Agenda at the age of 18, 19, okay, I did not intend to stay in power, to stay in opposition. I have now stayed in opposition for 20 years. I went to politics so that we can capture power and advance our ideas and ideals. So what the political parties should do, and for you even to be able to capture the imaginations of young people who can understand the language, the reason why, for instance, Snoop is capturing the imagination of young and unsuspecting voters is because they are coming and talking a language they understand.
Yes.
The manifesto is shallow, but you see it captures your imagination quickly. So for me, and I've said this even with the FDC, this thing of talking about philosophies and we need to have a strategy to capture power.
Thank you.
And this is what I encourage all parties, including the Activists Party.
Your last remark.
Well, I'm happy to appear on this show, and I just want to encourage Ugandans to have hope. Well, we've had problematic leadership for the last 36 years. We are, of course, hopeful that things are going to change, and we need to organize political leaders and even members who are in NRM. I'm sure there are so many people there who don't really believe in what is happening, but they can join us and we organize and we build a critical mass and we sweep the NRM out of power.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Just in 1 minute, please. Closing remarks.
First of all, I want to thank the station for hosting me.
It's called Digitalk.
Digitalk.
And I also wish to congratulate you upon joining the Activists Party. Digitalk is scientific. So you are becoming our members.
But by virtue of being scientific, we are members of Activists.
Definitely. This is the way forward. And I wish to call upon Ugandans, especially the young people, first of all, to think about leadership. So President Museveni has discouraged people from going into leadership because he has made it so dirty, filthy, that only those who are hardened like us can dare come and sit here to even talk about leadership. I wish Ugandans well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, my guests, and Comrade Christophe Alvin Mokaya. Thank you for the time you've been part of this discussion. And then all our viewers who have been following, the callers, and those who put up their comments there, we really thank you, and thanks for always keeping it Digitalk. My last word to these two comrades who are into active politics is I think you need to sit down, excogitate on how best you can contribute to making this country better than the way it is. We've seen many countries where leadership has changed, but again, the things in the country that have also moved like many steps backwards. So we don't want to experience that. We have to change leadership to a better one than what we have today. My name is Abdalla Tiff, and this has been the hotline on the alternative Digitalk. Until next Monday, have a good night.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.